The lights in the council chamber flickered as another emergency alert came through. Hyunwoo sat in the back row, watching the chaos unfold. He was Earth's ambassador, but nobody really cared what he thought. Humans were the newest members of the Galactic Council, and most aliens treated them like children who had just learned to walk. At the front of the massive hall, Council Leader Thalrix raised his 6 arms for silence. His blue skin had turned pale with worry. Behind him, a holographic display showed red dots spreading across the galaxy like a disease. Each dot was a world that had fallen to the Vraxian dominion. 12 systems have gone dark in the past month, Thalrix announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. The Vraxians are not taking prisoners. They are not accepting surrender. They are exterminating entire populations. Hyunwoo felt his stomach turn. He had seen the reports. Billions dead. Entire civilizations wiped out in days. The Vraxian war machine was unstoppable, crushing everything in its path with weapons the Council could barely understand. A tall, crystalline being stood up. Councillor Velnara spoke in a voice like wind chimes. "We have tried everything. Our combined fleets cannot penetrate their shields. Our weapons bounce off their hull armor. Every battle ends the same way. We lose." The chamber filled with frightened voices. Representatives from 47 different species all talked at once, each one more desperate than the last. Some suggested retreating to the core worlds. Others wanted to try negotiating. A few spoke of ancient weapons that should never be used. Hyunwoo watched quietly. He had learned early on that speaking up only brought mockery. Earth had been part of the galactic community for just 50 years. When the Council discovered humans, they found a species that still used rockets to get to space. Primitive, backward, hardly worth noticing. "What about unconventional approaches?" Velnara asked suddenly. The chamber quieted. "The Vraxians fight with honor and superior technology. Perhaps we need to think differently. What about the humans? They are a warrior species, are they not?" For a moment, Hyunwoo thought he had misheard. Then the laughter started. It rolled through the chamber like a wave. Several councillors actually doubled over, their various forms of laughter creating a strange symphony of sounds. "The humans?" someone shouted between laughs. "The species that still kills each other over colored cloth? The ones who polluted their own planet? They fight with chemical explosives," another voice added. "They have no energy shields. Their computers are slower than a child's toy." Thalrix tried to restore order, but even he seemed amused. "Ambassador Hyunwoo, forgive the Council's reaction. We appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, but this situation requires advanced tactical thinking. Perhaps humans could assist with supply logistics?" The dismissal was clear. Hyunwoo stood slowly, keeping his face neutral even though his pride burned. He had served in Earth's military before becoming a diplomat. He knew things these peaceful aliens could not imagine. He knew what humans were capable of when survival was at stake. "Of course, Council Leader," Hyunwoo said politely. "Earth understands its place. We would not presume to offer advice on military matters to such advanced civilizations." He walked out of the chamber with measured steps. Behind him, the Council continued their debate, cycling through the same failed strategies they had tried before. They spoke of honor and rules of engagement. They talked about proportional responses and avoiding civilian casualties. They discussed warfare like it was a chess game with agreed-upon rules. Hyunwoo returned to Earth's embassy quarters. The space was small, tucked away in a forgotten corner of Nexus Prime Station. He sat at his desk and opened a secure communication channel to Earth. The encryption was human-designed, something the Council considered charmingly paranoid. He typed a simple message. "Council situation desperate. Vraxian advance unstoppable. Requesting historical combat analysis. All periods, all conflicts. Priority urgent." He added one more line before sending. "They laughed at us today. They will not laugh forever." The message disappeared into the quantum stream, racing toward Earth at faster than light speeds. Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. The Council thought humans were primitive. They thought Earth had nothing to offer but enthusiasm and outdated weapons. They had no idea what they had just dismissed. They did not know that Humans had spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other. They did not understand that every weapon, every tactic, every dirty trick in the book had been invented by a species fighting for survival on a planet that tried to kill them every single day. The Vraxians fought with honor and advanced technology. The Council tried to match them with the same approach. But humans fought to win. They cheated. They lied. They did whatever it took to survive. Yunwu opened his eyes and looked at the star map on his wall. Red dots showed Vraxian conquests. Blue dots showed council worlds. The red was spreading fast, consuming the blue like fire through paper. Laugh while you can, he whispered to the empty room. Soon you will be desperate enough to beg, and then you will learn what humans really are. Outside his window, the massive station continued its slow rotation. Thousands of species lived and worked here, all believing in a civilized galaxy with rules and honor. They were about to learn that civilization was a luxury you could only afford when you were not fighting for your life. And humans had never been able to afford that luxury. Not once in their entire bloody history. General Jiwan stood in front of the largest display screen in Earth Defense Command. The screen showed data streaming in from across the galaxy. Each red marker represented a Vraxian victory. Each blue marker showed a council fleet destroyed. The red was winning. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Behind her, 3 officers worked at their stations. They had received Ambassador Hyunwoo's message 6 hours ago and had been analyzing data ever since. What do we know about the Vraxians? Jiwan asked without turning around. Commander Bora looked up from her console. They are straightforward fighters. Overwhelming force, superior technology. They attack head-on and crush opposition through raw power. Every battle follows the same pattern. Honor-based culture, added Captain Minho from his station. They see war as a test of strength. No deception, no tricks. Just pure military might against military might. Dr. Tae Yang, the military historian, pulled up a new display. The Council is trying to fight them the same way. Big fleets, advanced weapons, direct confrontation. But the Vraxians are just better at this type of warfare. Better shields, better weapons. Better tactics for conventional combat. Jiwan finally turned around. Show me human history. Everything we have on asymmetric warfare. The screens lit up with data. Thousands of years of human conflict appeared in organized files. Ancient battles where small forces defeated large armies. Medieval sieges won through deception. Naval warfare where clever tactics beat superior ships. Guerrilla campaigns that exhausted powerful empires. Psychological operations that broke enemy morale without firing a shot. The Trojan horse, Taeyang said, highlighting one example. The Greeks could not break Troy's walls, so they pretended to give up. Left a giant wooden horse as a gift. The Trojans brought it inside. Greek soldiers were hiding in the horse. They opened the gates at night. Troy fell. Hannibal crossing the Alps with elephants, Bora added. Everyone expected him to attack from the sea. He did the impossible instead and surprised the Romans from the north. The Ghost Army in World War II, Minho continued. Inflatable tanks and fake radio broadcasts made the enemy think a massive force was in one place while the real attack came from somewhere else. The examples kept coming. Guerrilla fighters defeating occupying armies. Cyber attacks crippling infrastructure. Information warfare destroying enemy. Morale, sabotage, assassination, false flag operations, propaganda. Humans had spent thousands of years learning how to win. Against stronger opponents, Jiwan studied the data in silence. After several minutes, she spoke. The Council fights wars like chess matches. Clean, predictable, honor-bound. The Vraxians are just better chess players. And we do not play chess, Bora said quietly. No, Jiwan agreed. We flip the board over and hit them with it. Taeyang pulled up more files. I can compile a tactical briefing. 10,000 years of unconventional warfare. Every trick we know. Every dirty tactic that works. Everything that would give the Council a fighting chance. Do it, Jiwan ordered. But we are not sending it yet. Minho looked confused. General, people are dying. Billions of them. If we have knowledge that could help. They laughed at us, Jiwan interrupted. Ambassador Hyunwoo's message was clear. The Council thinks humans are primitive. They think we have nothing to offer. She walked to the window and looked out over the Seoul skyline. The city stretched for miles, millions of lights in the darkness. If we send them this data now, they will be horrified. Half of these tactics violate their laws of war. Deception is considered dishonorable. Targeting infrastructure is seen as barbaric. Psychological warfare is viewed as torture. But it works, Bora argued. It works because we are willing to do what others will not, Jiwan replied. The council will see these tactics and call us savages. They will reject our help and probably vote to expel Earth from the council. They will die with their honor intact, feeling morally superior to the primitive humans. The room fell silent. Everyone understood the terrible logic. The council would rather lose honorably than win using methods they considered beneath them. So what do we do? Taeyang asked. Jiwan turned back to face her team. We wait, we prepare everything. We document every tactic, every strategy, every dirty trick in human history, and we wait for the council to become desperate enough to beg. How many will die while we wait? Minho asked softly. Millions, Jiwan admitted. Maybe billions. But that is the price of their pride. We offered help. They laughed. They need to realize on their own that they are losing. They need to become so desperate that they will accept any help even from species they consider beneath them. She looked at each officer in turn. Compile everything. Make it clear. Make it thorough. When they finally ask, we need to be ready to give them exactly what they need to survive. But also make it honest. Show them what human warfare really is, all of it. The ugly parts too. They will fear us, Bora said. Yes, Jiwan agreed. They will fear us. They might even hate us, but they will be alive to fear and hate. That is better than being dead with honor. The team got to work. Files opened. Data compiled. Thousands of battles, millions of casualties, 10,000 years of human history all categorized and analyzed. The full scope of human warfare, from ancient sword fights to modern cyber attacks, all laid out in neat tactical briefings. Jiwan watched the progress on the main screen. Each completed file represented another way humans had learned to kill efficiently. Another trick that would shock the Honorable Council. Another tactic that would save lives at the cost of dignity. How long until they break? Taeyang asked. Jiwan studied the tactical map showing Vraxian advances. Not long. The Vraxians are moving fast. The Council is running out of options. When their next major fleet gets destroyed, they will panic. That is when they will remember the laughable humans and wonder if maybe, just maybe, primitives know something about survival that civilized species have forgotten. She was right, but even she did not know how close the breaking point really was. The emergency alarms woke Hyunwoo at 3 in the morning. He rushed to the embassy communications room and found the staff already gathered around the main display. The news was everywhere, impossible to ignore. The Battle of Kepler Threshold had just ended. The Council's largest fleet in history had been completely destroyed. 15,000 warships gone in 4 hours. Marshal Dalrex dead. Millions of crew members vaporized. The Vraxians had unveiled a new weapon, something called a graviton disruptor that tore ships apart at the atomic level. Hyunwoo felt sick watching the footage. Ships that had taken decades to build simply came apart like sandcastles in a wave. The Council's best commanders, their finest tactics, their most advanced technology all meant nothing against this new horror. The Council is calling an emergency session, his assistant said quietly. All ambassadors must attend immediately. The council chamber looked different this time. Gone was the confident grandeur. The representatives sat hunched in their seats, faces showing fear in 47 different ways. Some were crying. Others sat in shocked silence. The great and powerful Galactic Council had been broken. Dalrex tried to call the session to order, but his voice cracked. The situation is catastrophic. We have lost 60% of our combined military strength. The Vraxian advance cannot be stopped with conventional means. We must consider alternatives to render, someone shouted. We should negotiate terms before they kill us all. The Vraxians do not negotiate, another voice replied. They exterminate. We have seen the recordings. They take no prisoners. They leave no survivors. We could evacuate to the core worlds, abandon the outer territories, build defenses. There is nowhere to run. They will follow us. They will hunt us down. We are witnessing the extinction of galactic civilization. The arguments went in circles. Desperation filled the chamber like smoke. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, and now they were watching their empire crumble in weeks. Counselor Velnara rose slowly. Her crystalline form glowed dimly, all her usual brightness dimmed by despair. I propose something that may sound foolish, but we are out of conventional options. The chamber quieted. Everyone turned to listen. The humans, Velnara said simply. I suggest we consult the humans. This time no one laughed. The memory of their earlier mockery hung heavy in the air. Several counselors looked ashamed. Ambassador Hyunwoo, Thalric said carefully. We owe you and your species an apology. We dismissed you. We were wrong to do so. I ask you now in our desperate hour, does Earth have any knowledge that might help us survive? Hyunwoo stood. He had waited for this moment, but it brought no satisfaction. Too many had died already. Council leader, humanity has fought wars for 10,000 years. We have extensive experience in defeating enemies with superior technology. We know tactics that the Vraxians have never encountered. Hope flickered across faces. You can help us? Someone asked. We can, Hyunwoo confirmed. But you must understand something first. Human warfare is not like yours. We do not fight with honor. We do not respect rules of engagement. We use deception, manipulation, and tactics you would consider barbaric. If Earth helps you, we will do things that will shock you. Things you might find unforgivable. The chamber fell silent. The counselors looked at each other, weighing their options. Die with honor or live with shame? We are facing extinction, Thalric said quietly. Billions are already dead. Trillions more will die if we do nothing. Ambassador, we need help, any help, even if it costs us our dignity. Please, Velnara added. We are begging you. Save us. Hyunwoo felt the weight of the moment, the proud Galactic Council, reduced to begging the species they had mocked. He pulled out his communicator and sent a simple message to Earth. They are asking. Send the General. General Ji-won will arrive within 48 hours, Hyunwoo announced. She will present Earth's proposal for ending this war. But I warn you again, you may not like what she offers. We accept, Thalric said immediately. Around the chamber, representatives nodded agreement. Some looked relieved. Others looked terrified. All of them looked desperate. Later, Velnara found Hyunwoo in the corridor outside. Ambassador, what you said about human warfare, about doing unforgivable things, were you exaggerating to prepare us? Hyunwoo looked at her honestly. No, counselor. I was not exaggerating. Humans learned to survive on a planet that tried to kill us every day. We learned to fight each other with weapons you cannot imagine. We perfected cruelty out of necessity. What you are about to witness will change how you see my species forever. Will we regret asking for your help? You will regret it, Hyunwoo said. But you will be alive to regret it. That is what matters. Velnara absorbed this. I suppose survival without honor is better than honorable extinction. That is what humans have always believed, Hyunwoo replied. It is why we are still here when so many other Earth species are not. We do whatever it takes to survive. Always. He left her standing in the corridor thinking about what was coming. The council had begged for human help. They were about to learn why civilized species should be very careful what they wish for. Across the galaxy, General Ji-won boarded a fast ship to Nexus Prime. In her briefcase was a complete analysis of 10,000 years of human warfare. Every dirty trick, every ruthless tactic, every method that won wars at the cost of conscience. The council had begged for salvation. They were about to get exactly what they asked for, and it would terrify them. General Ji-won walked into the council chamber with 3 officers behind her. Commander Bora carried a data drive. Dr. Taeyang held a presentation remote. Captain Minho stood ready with security protocols. They looked small compared to the towering alien representatives, but they moved with absolute confidence. The chamber was packed. Every counselor had come to hear what the humans had to say. Hyunwoo watched from his seat as Ji-won approached the central podium. She did not look nervous. She looked like a soldier who had seen 1,000 battles and won them all. Council leader Thalric's honored counselors. Ji-won began. You asked for Earth's help. We are prepared to give it. But first we must discuss terms. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several counselors looked offended. They had begged for help and now humans wanted to negotiate? Ji-won continued without emotion. Earth will take full command of all military operations against the Vraxians. This means complete operational authority. No council oversight. No committees. No debates. Human commanders will make all tactical and strategic decisions. That is unacceptable. Someone shouted. You're asking for absolute power. Yes, Ji-won agreed. Because wars cannot be won by committee. You have been trying that approach. How is it working? The harsh truth silenced the objection. Ji-won pressed on. Second condition. We need access to all council military assets. Every ship, every weapon, every bit of intelligence you have. We cannot work with incomplete information. You want access to our classified technology? Felnara asked. If you want to win, yes, Ji-won replied. Third condition. Legal immunity for all human personnel. Whatever we do during this war, we will not face prosecution afterward. Not under council law. Not under any law, the chamber erupted. You are demanding permission to commit war crimes. Multiple voices shouted. Ji-won waited for the noise to die down. I am demanding that you do not punish us for saving your lives, because the methods we will use would be considered crimes under your laws. That is the price of survival. Tae Yang activated the holographic display. Images appeared showing battles from human history. This is how humans fight, he explained. We deceive. We manipulate. We attack from unexpected angles. We target morale, supply lines, and leadership. We do whatever works, the images continued. Burning cities. Psychological warfare, sabotage, assassination, propaganda. The counselors watched in growing horror. This is barbaric, someone whispered. This is effective, Bora corrected. The Vraxians fight with honor and superior technology. You tried matching them. You lost. We fight differently. We fight to win. Fourth condition, Ji-won continued. Non-interference. You will not question our orders. You will not countermand our strategies. You will not demand explanations in the middle of operations. You asked us to save you. Let us do it our way. And the fifth condition? Thalrix asked quietly. After the war ends, Earth receives full voting rights on this council. Equal voice with all member species, plus preferential trade agreements and unrestricted access to all galactic technology archives. You are extorting us, a counselor shouted. Taking advantage of our crisis. Yes, Ji-won said bluntly. You laughed at us when we offered help freely. You called us primitive. You dismissed us as irrelevant. Now you are desperate and we are offering what you need. This is the price. The chamber descended into chaos. Some counselors argued for acceptance. Others called it blackmail. A few suggested they should keep looking for alternatives. But everyone knew there were no alternatives left. Thalrix called for order. We will vote in 1 hour. All counselors will have time to consider. During the recess, Velnara approached Ji-won privately. General, what you showed us. Those tactics. Are you truly capable of such things? Ji-won looked at her steadily. Counselor, those examples were from our history. Wars we fought against each other, before we learned to cooperate. Yes, we are capable of such things. We've always been capable. It is what kept us alive when stronger species would have died. Will we be able to live with ourselves after this war? That is a question every human asks after every war, Ji-won replied. The answer is always the same. We live with it because the alternative is not living at all. You will feel guilty. You will question your choices. You will wonder if there was another way, but you will be alive to wonder. Velnara was quiet for a moment. If we accept your terms, there is no going back. The council will never be the same. No, Ji-won agreed, but it will still exist. That is more than you can say if the Vraxians win. When the council reconvened, Thalrix called for the vote. All in favor of accepting Earth's terms? Hands, tentacles, appendages of all kinds rose slowly. Not everyone agreed, but enough did. The motion passed. It is done, Thalrix announced. General Ji-won, the council accepts your terms. Earth now has full authority over military operations. We place our survival in your hands, Ji-won nodded once. Commander Bora will establish our operations center immediately. We begin work tonight. Within 72 hours, the Vraxians will experience something they have never faced before. What is that? Someone asked. Ji-won smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Fear. The Vraxians think they are unstoppable. They think they have already won. We are going to teach them what terror feels like. As the meeting ended, Hyunwoo watched the counselors file out. They looked like people who had just made a deal with something dangerous. They were right to be concerned. They had just given Earth permission to do whatever it took to win. The Vraxians had no idea what was coming. Neither did the council, really. But soon everyone would learn what happens when you force humans to fight. Wing Commander Jae-hwan stood on the bridge of his stealth ship, watching the Vraxian supply convoy pass below. 12 massive freighters carrying food, ammunition, and equipment to the front lines. It was a tempting target, but G1's orders were clear. Do not attack the ships. Attack the mines. Begin transmission, he ordered. His communications officer activated a device that human engineers had built in 3 days. It broadcast on Vraxian military frequencies, but the signal was scrambled to look like internal communications. The Vraxians would think they were intercepting their own encrypted messages. The message contained fabricated casualty reports, false intelligence about Vraxian defeats that never happened, fake evidence of political purges back on the Vraxian homeworld, altered video showing Vraxian leaders calling their soldiers expendable. None of it was true. All of it was convincing. The council liaison on Jaehwan's ship looked horrified. You are lying to them. This is deception. This violates every rule of honorable warfare. Yes, Jaehwan said simply. It is called information warfare. It is more effective than destroying their ships. Destroyed ships can be replaced. Destroyed morale cannot. Across the galaxy, Commander Bora directed her own operation. She had reprogrammed 3,000 civilian freighters to emit military-grade sensor signatures. To Vraxian scanners, it looked like a massive council fleet was assembling near the Endara Nebula. The Vraxian command took the bait. They diverted half their invasion force to intercept this supposed superfleet. When they arrived, they found nothing but empty cargo ships broadcasting fake signals. By the time they realized the deception, actual council warships had struck 3 undefended Vraxian logistics bases. This is brilliant, Velnara admitted, watching from the operations center, but it feels wrong. We are not warriors. We are liars. Welcome to human warfare, Bora replied. We learned long ago that the enemy you trick is just as defeated as the enemy you kill. But tricking them costs fewer lives. Would you prefer we fight honorably and lose? Velnara had no answer to that. Captain Minho ran the most controversial operation. His team captured a Vraxian patrol ship and reprogrammed it. Then they sent it to attack a Vraxian mining colony, making sure security footage survived. To Vraxian investigators, it looked like an internal rebellion, like their own forces were turning against them. The Vraxian leadership, already paranoid from Jaehwan's false intelligence, launched investigations. Officers were arrested. Loyalty tests were administered. Trust eroded throughout their command structure. Ships delayed missions to undergo security checks. Efficiency dropped by 30%. You are making them fight themselves, Thalrix observed, watching the intelligence reports. Exactly, Minho confirmed. They have never faced an enemy who uses false flag operations. They do not understand that we can make them see threats that do not exist. By the time they figure out what we are doing, they will have damaged their own effectiveness more than we ever could. The operations continued for 3 weeks. Each one chipped away at the Vraxian war machine, not through superior firepower, but through deception, psychological manipulation, and tactics the Vraxians had never imagined. Then, Intelligence Officer Haywan made a critical discovery. The Vraxian command structure relied on a single quantum communication hub located on their homeworld. Destroying it would blind their entire military, but it was heavily defended and reaching it seemed impossible. G1 studied the intelligence. We can reach it, not with a fleet, with a small team. The hub is in their capital city, Thalrix protested. Millions of civilians live there. We cannot attack a civilian population center. The hub is a military target, G1 countered. It controls their war machine. Yes, it is in a city. Yes, there may be civilian casualties, but billions are dying in this war. If we can end it by hitting one target, that is what we do. This crosses a line, several counselors objected. We do not target homeworlds. We do not attack civilians. This is exactly the kind of barbarism we feared. G1 stood firm. You gave us operational authority. This is our operation. You can object all you want, but we are doing it anyway. The council watched helplessly as Colonel Seok Jin led Strike Team Echo on their mission. They infiltrated Vraxian space using stolen credentials. They hacked security systems with techniques the Vraxians never anticipated. They moved through the capital city like ghosts, invisible to detection. The team did not use explosives. They used something more subtle, a computer virus designed by Earth's best programmers. It infected the quantum hub and spread through the entire Vraxian communication network. Within hours, the virus corrupted every military channel. The effect was immediate. Vraxian ships stopped receiving orders. Fleet formations broke apart. Battle groups lost coordination. The overwhelming war machine that had crushed the Council fragmented into confused, isolated units. It worked, Haywan reported, watching the chaos spread through Vraxian territory. Their entire command structure just went blind. Velnara felt sick watching it happen. We just crippled an entire civilization. We just saved the galaxy, Jiwan corrected. That civilization was killing billions. Now they cannot coordinate their attacks. Now we have a chance to end this. Thalrix looked at the tactical displays showing Vraxian forces in disarray. What have we become? We asked humans to save us, and they turned us into something we do not recognize. You are still alive, Jiwan said quietly. That is what you became, survivors. Whether you like the methods or not, they work. The tide has turned. The Vraxians are vulnerable for the first time in this war. She pulled up a strategic map. Now we finish this. Commander Bora, prepare the fleet. We are going to hit them everywhere at once. Captain Minho, increase psychological operations. Make them see threats in every shadow. Wing Commander Jaewon, target their remaining supply lines. The orders went out. Across the galaxy, human-led forces began the final phase of the war. The Vraxians had never faced an enemy like this, an enemy that did not fight fair, an enemy that attacked from unexpected angles, an enemy that made them fear their own shadows. For the first time since the war began, the Vraxians were not the hunters. They were the prey, and they had no idea how to deal with it. Admiral Kyung-soo watched the tactical display from his flagship. The final offensive was not what anyone expected. Instead of one massive battle, Jiwan had planned 100 smaller operations happening simultaneously across Vraxian territory. It was chaos by design, and it was working perfectly. His fleet executed hit-and-run raids on Vraxian outposts. They would strike fast, destroy key targets, and vanish before reinforcements arrived. The Vraxians, trained for grand fleet battles, did not know how to respond to an enemy that refused to stand and fight. Another supply depot destroyed, his tactical officer reported. The Vraxians sent 3 battle groups to intercept us, but we were gone before they arrived. Kyung-soo smiled. Good, make them chase shadows. Make them waste fuel and time pursuing ghosts. That is how you exhaust an enemy without fighting them directly. Elsewhere, Special Operations Commander Yoonji led teams behind Vraxian lines. They sabotaged weapons factories. They assassinated key officers. They planted evidence of conspiracies that did not exist. Every operation created confusion and fear. Is this really necessary? A council observer asked, watching footage of a targeted strike. You just killed their fleet admiral without warning. No challenge. No honorable duel. Just a missile from nowhere. War is not a duel, Yoonji replied coldly. War is survival. That admiral commanded forces killing billions. Now he is dead and cannot command anyone. That saves lives. Our honor means nothing compared to actually winning. Cyber warfare specialist Wu Jin unleashed digital attacks that the Vraxians had no defense against. Their computer systems, designed for direct warfare, had never been hardened against the kind of sophisticated hacking humans had perfected. Banks crashed. Power grids flickered. Navigation systems fed false coordinates. Their entire infrastructure is collapsing, Wu Jin reported. Not from bombs, from code. They are fighting invisible enemies inside their own systems. The Vraxians tried to adapt, but they could not. Every time they concentrated forces for a counterattack, those forces got hit from unexpected directions. Every time they secured a defensive position, they found it was based on false intelligence. Every victory felt hollow when 3 defeats followed. Captain Ji-hoon analyzed the pattern. The Vraxians are excellent warriors in single combat, but they do not understand modern warfare. They think battles are about who has better ships and stronger weapons. They do not realize that wars are won by making your enemy give up. The breaking point came at the Battle of Serpentis Nebula. The Vraxian fleet, still numbering over 4,000 ships, massed for what they believed would be the decisive engagement. They outnumbered the Council forces. They had superior firepower. By their calculations, they could not lose. Bora had prepared a trap using tactics from Earth's naval history. The Council fleet appeared to flee into the nebula's dense gas clouds. The Vraxians, confident in their superiority, followed. Inside the nebula, visibility dropped to near zero. Sensors became unreliable. The Vraxians found themselves surrounded by hidden minefields. Ambush squadrons attacked from every direction. Electronic warfare jammed their communications and targeting systems. The battle became chaotic close-quarters combat. Ships collided in the darkness. Friendly fire incidents multiplied. The Vraxians' superior technology meant nothing when they could not see their targets or coordinate their forces. Fleet Marshal Vrextar watched his command fall apart. His officers screamed conflicting reports. His sensors showed ghost images. His weapons targeted allies as often as enemies. In 30 years of conquest, he had never experienced anything like this. Then he understood. The humans had not tried to win a fair fight. They had created conditions where a fair fight was impossible. They had turned the battle into confusion and chaos where the Vraxians' advantages disappeared. "Cease fire," Vrextar ordered. "All ships cease fire. We surrender." The words felt like poison in his mouth. Surrender was not a concept the Vraxian military trained for, but continuing this battle meant destroying his own fleet through confusion and panic. He had been beaten not by superior force but by an enemy that refused to fight the way wars were supposed to be fought. The surrender signal broadcast across all frequencies. Slowly, the fighting stopped. The Council fleet emerged from the nebula, battered but intact. They had won. General Jiwan received the Vraxian surrender aboard the Council flagship. Vrextar stood before her, a massive being bred for war, looking at the small human with genuine fear. "What are you?" he asked quietly. "We studied your species. You have inferior technology, weaker bodies, shorter lives. Yet you defeated us completely. How?" Jiwan met his gaze steadily. "We are survivors from a death world. We spent 10,000 years fighting predators, diseases, and each other. We learned that fair fights are for species with natural advantages. We had none, so we learned to cheat, deceive, and do whatever was necessary to survive." She gestured to the tactical display showing the destroyed Vraxian positions. "You fought with honor and superior weapons. You should have won. But we fought to survive, and survival has no rules. You never learned that lesson because you never had to. Consider yourself fortunate." Vrextar looked at the human general with new understanding. "You did not defeat us with strength. You defeated us with fear and confusion." "Yes," Jiwan agreed, "because fear and confusion are more powerful than any weapon. They make your enemy defeat themselves. That is the first lesson of human warfare. Always has been." The Vraxian Dominion agreed to an immediate ceasefire. Their conquest was over. Across the galaxy, celebrations erupted on liberated worlds. The impossible had happened. The unstoppable Vraxian war machine had been stopped. But in the council chamber, the mood was not celebratory. The counselors watched recordings of human operations. They saw the deception, the psychological warfare, the ruthless efficiency. They had won, but the victory felt dark. "We asked humans to save us," Thalric said quietly. "They did. But now everyone knows what humans can do. Now everyone knows what they are capable of when they fight without restraint." Velnara looked at the tactical data. "We did not win this war. Humans won it for us, and now we must live with that knowledge. We must live knowing that we unleashed something we barely understand." The war was over, but the consequences were just beginning. 6 months after the war ended, the council convened for a ceremony that should have been joyous. They were gathered to honor Earth and grant humans full membership with voting rights, but the atmosphere felt heavy, like a storm about to break. Hyun-woo sat in what would soon be Earth's permanent seat. No longer in the back row, no longer dismissed as irrelevant. The humans had earned their place, but the cost showed on every face in the chamber. During the war, council species had watched humanity operate. They saw tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare. They witnessed deception used as standard practice. They watched humans manipulate, lie, and win through methods that made them uncomfortable. The victory had saved them, but it also revealed something they wished they had never seen. Counselor Velnara stood to speak. Her crystalline form glowed softly in the chamber lights. "We asked Earth to save us. They did exactly what they promised. Now we must decide who we are. Do we honor our agreement, or do we let fear control us?" Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. Everyone knew what she meant. There had been quiet discussions about finding ways to back out of the deal, about restricting human authority, about preventing Earth from becoming too powerful. Hyun-woo rose to address the council. "Honored members, I understand your concern. You have seen the worst of humanity during this war. You have seen what we do when survival demands it. I will not apologize for our methods because they worked. But I will offer you understanding." He paused, making eye contact with counselors around the chamber. Humanity fights dirty because we learned on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We were not the strongest species. We were not the fastest. We had no natural weapons, so we learned to use our minds. We invented weapons because we were weak. We developed deception because we could not win through strength alone. General Jiwan joined him at the podium. Every brutal tactic you witnessed, we invented it fighting each other. Human history is filled with wars that nearly destroyed us. We know what war costs. We know what it takes from those who fight it. We know the weight of these methods better than anyone. She pulled up images on the display. Not battles this time, but peaceful scenes. Human cities rebuilt after wars. Treaties signed. International organizations created to prevent future conflicts. After every war, we try to do better. We create laws to limit our own violence. We develop ethics to restrain our worst impulses. We struggle constantly to be civilized, knowing we can never fully succeed. The monster you fear exists, Hyunwoo continued. We fear it too. That is why we tried to stay out of your war. We knew what it would reveal about us. But you were dying and you asked for help. We could not refuse, Jiwan addressed the chamber directly. You represent species that never had to fight for survival the way humans did. You evolved in peace with natural advantages. You developed true civilization without the constant threat of extinction. We envy that. But it also made you vulnerable to species like the Vraxians. We are the middle ground, she explained. Violent enough to fight when necessary. Civilized enough to stop when it is over. You need us not as conquerors, but as guardians. As the species willing to do what you cannot. The council debated for hours. Some argued for rejection, saying they would rather face future threats honorably than rely on human methods. Others acknowledged the reality that without Earth, they would all be dead or enslaved. Finally, Thalrix called for a vote. All in favor of upholding our agreement with Earth? The vote passed, though not unanimously. Earth gained full council membership, with one addition to the treaty. Humanity would serve as the council's military force, but would also submit to oversight and accountability measures designed through mutual agreement. It was not perfect, but it was a beginning. After the ceremony, Thalrix approached Hyunwoo and Jiwan privately. Ambassador General, I have a question that troubles me. When you first joined our council years ago, you seemed eager to learn from us, to be part of something greater. Do you still want that after everything that happened? Hyunwoo smiled sadly. More than ever, council leader. Because we know what we are, we have always known. We look at you and see what we wish we could be. Peaceful, trusting, truly civilized. We fight so hard precisely because we want a galaxy where no one has to fight. The Vraxians are defeated, Jiwan added. But there will be others, pirates, warlords, empires that see weakness and attack. You will face them with honor and lose. We will face them with everything we have and win. Then we will look at what we did, feel terrible about it, and try to be better next time. That is humanity, Hyunwoo concluded. That is what you asked us to be. Thalrix was quiet for a long moment. The council was terrified when we realized what we had done by involving Earth. We are still frightened, but perhaps fear is healthy. Perhaps it keeps civilizations honest. Fear is useful, Hyunwoo agreed, but trust is better. We will earn yours eventually. Years passed. The galaxy learned to work with its strange new guardians. Other species studied human military history, trying to understand the species that fought with cunning rather than honor. Some never understood. Others came to appreciate that sometimes civilization needs protectors who remember what it took to survive. On Earth, in Seoul, they built a memorial for those who served in the Vraxian War. A simple black wall with names carved in stone. 3,847 humans who died fighting for species they had never met, for worlds they had never seen. At the dedication ceremony, General Jiwan, now retired, gave a brief speech. We did not fight for glory. We fought because someone needed to, and we were the only ones who knew how. These names represent humanity at its worst and its best. Violent and compassionate, ruthless and noble, willing to become monsters so others would not have to. Hyunwoo added, the galaxy fears us now. They respect us, but more importantly, they are still here. That is all that matters. At the back of the crowd stood Velnara, unannounced. She placed a crystal flower at the memorial base, a tradition of remembrance from her people. A young human child approached her. Why are you here? Velnara looked at the names on the wall. Because they saved us. Someone should remember what it cost them. The child thought about this. Are you scared of us? Felnara answered honestly. Yes, but I am more scared of what the galaxy would be without you. The Galactic Council had learned their lesson. Never involve Earth in a war unless you are prepared for them to win it their way. And they were grateful they would never have to learn that lesson twice. Humanity became what it always had been. Survivors who fought dirty, dreamed of peace and protected those who could not protect themselves. The galaxy needed guardians who understood that sometimes survival requires doing terrible things. And humans, shaped by 10,000 years of bloody history, understood that better than anyone.